Hello and welcome to Cover 3. I'm Manny Robinson with Scott Kiefer and Marcel Louis-Jacques here to talk a little Clemson football. The Tigers bottled up the Gamecocks in the Palmetto Bowl Saturday night. Hunter Renfrow entered his annual touchdown phase. He has 14 career touchdowns, 9 of which have been scored in the month of November or later. And I can only think of one more spectacular than this one. Now, the Tigers will continue their own championship phase Saturday in the ACC title game.
Yeah, the Tigers have Miami and Charlotte. And you know, Miami has been quite an enigma this season if you think about it. No one was aboard because they hadn't beaten anyone of consequence for so long. Then they knock off Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, and everybody climbs on the Hurricane bandwagon. Now everybody's back off a little bit because they promptly go and lose at Pittsburgh, which confounded everyone. But here they are in the ACC championship game. And really, Clemson's thinking, which Miami team are we going to get? I think for certain it's probably not the Miami team they saw a couple years ago when they emerged with a 58-0 victory. And what stands out about that game is I remember prior to the game, planes flying overhead, dragging banners that said, "Fire Al Golden." Well, the next day they did. So who knows what will happen this time, but rumors have it that they're still holding up banners and signs in Miami saying, "Thank you, Dabo."
And you know what else we got this week is we've got a matchup between two first-year starters at quarterback in Miami's Malik Rozier and Clemson's Kelly Bryant. Now you look at the matchup on paper, and Rozier's numbers are a little better: 2,700 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. But you look at the last 4 games, he's averaging a little under 190 yards through the air per game. He's only completing 51% of his passes, has that 8-to-5 touchdown interception ratio. Then you look even closer, and those were 4 of Miami's toughest games this season, arguably the 4 toughest games they've played. That's not exactly the stretch that you want to see out of your first-year starter coming into this crucial point in the season when you haven't played a lot out of Florida, you haven't played away from Coral Gables, and you're heading into Clemson's backyard in a must-win matchup.
And one guy who could give Rozier fits Saturday night is Tanner Muse, and we caught up with Clemson's hard-hitting safety.
Honestly, I was going to go the baseball route. For a long time, I thought it'd be easier on my body and things like that. I played first base for a long time just because I was a bigger guy, bigger target. And then high school and middle school, I moved to shortstop and center field. Played every weekend, it seemed like. A lot of guys. Braxton Davidson, he just got drafted in the first round for the Braves. I think it was 2014. Alex Reynolds, he plays at Charlotte. A lot of guys played Division I ball, so we had a lot of fun just growing up together. I think I played with the Carolina Sting from 8 to 12, so it's always been real close to my heart. But God had a different plan for me. My last football game of my senior year, hit from the side, tore my throwing arm, labrum, and so I wouldn't say it's why I'm here, but it's a big reason why I'm here. I think it was God's calling, and it's kind of a sign to come to Clemson. Yeah, 2 years back-to-back going to the national championship, losing the first one, winning the second one is a great decision, and I'm glad the Lord led me here.
Now, all season long here on Cover 3, we've shouted out our man behind the controls, Bart Boatwright. But this week, we sat down with the man behind the lens to see how he's been in the right place at the right time for almost 30 years.
My parents got me a camera Christmas of my 8th grade year. I'd started taking pictures and I really enjoyed it. My first love was sports, and my second love, I guess, was photography. And I started taking pictures at high school sporting events. And my first picture that ever made it in the paper was I shot a track meet, and I took the film to the local newspaper, and I told them, "Hey, I shot this track meet. Do you want it?" And they're like, "Great. There's the dark room. Go process it." And to be honest, I'd seen film processed one time. I somehow came out with usable negatives. I made a print. It was in the paper, and I was ecstatic. And I don't think I noticed it at the time, and I looked back later, and I'd printed the negative backwards. But it was an inauspicious start, but that's when I knew, really, I had the bug. When I first started, you'd shoot a game, you'd come back with the film, you'd process it, make prints. They'd pick out 2 or 3 photos, and that was what was in the paper. Now it's all digital. I can move pictures from right off of my camera to my phone, tweet them, send them into the office almost instantaneously. And I know my main complaint back in the film days was I shoot all these pictures and nobody ever sees them. Now I shoot all these pictures and everybody sees everything. You know, I grew up close to Clemson, grew up coming to Clemson games, and Clemson always won the ACC. Well, I started in '90, and There was some lean years, you know. It's my job to tell the story. And, you know, when Clemson lost, you had to get those pictures. You know, the guys on the sidelines dejected and all, you hated doing that, but that's your job. And I can tell you, it's a lot funner, you know, when they win and the celebration and getting that. The last 5 years, to me, has been just incredible. What a ride. I didn't know if I would ever be able to photograph a national championship game. And to have done 2 in the last 2 years and to actually have photographed a win in a national championship, to me, has just been incredible. When you win a big game, everybody knows what's the picture, what happens is the Gatorade shot. You learn to follow the Gatorade. You follow the bucket, you know. It was Tommy West's first game, and they beat Kentucky, and so here they come with the bucket, and I run around, and they douse him, and, you know, I got a shot, but then they wanted to come with a second bucket. So one of the things you learn in this business is you got to learn to walk and run backwards as much as you do forwards. Well, I guess I was, you know, still young in the business, and I didn't know too well. So I'm going backwards, and I fall. And as soon as I fall, they go to douse him and the water goes right over his shoulder, right on me. I jump up and I'm just soaked. But to my credit, I jumped up shooting. You know, I don't know if I got a great shot, but I came up shooting. So. I've been doing this work going on 28 years. Man, maybe I should have got a job at UPS when I got out of school. I'd probably be retiring now. But you know what? What I've gotten to do, and not just football, in my career, I've photographed, 5 presidents, I've been to a World Series, I've been to a Super Bowl, I've been to a Final Four, 2 national championships, and then just all the other things that I've done in my career. Maybe my knees, wish I would have done something else, you know? It's a better angle if you shoot from your knees, and these 50-year-old knees aren't the same as those 20-year-old knees when I started, but still. When it's all said and done, the things that I've been able to do and see is certainly worth it, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Well, that does it for us here on Cover 3. For Scott, Marcel, Bart behind the controls, and Elizabeth on her bye week, catch us next time, probably around New Year's.